And if one of those, was it 9 guys altogether, 7 guys? How many guys was it altogether?
I believe it was 9.
Yeah, I believe it was 9 guys. It was Pooh Shiesty, his dad, Big 30, and 6 other guys, right?
Right.
If one of them turns and says the entire story from beginning to end, good luck. Good luck with that.
Which is highly likely.
Highly likely. Because here's the thing.
Well, Pooh Shiesty's dad's already a cooperator.
Really?
Pooh Shiesty's dad's a rat. Whack 100 dropped the paperwork. I validated that shit.
Oh.
Pooh Shiesty's dad went to the feds and got a 5K1 motion for agreeing to cooperate now and in the future on future cases.
Oh.
You think his father's gonna do it? No. It's gonna be a Queso and Queso's dad 2.0. Nah, I thought I was just printing some. I didn't know my son was gonna pull that out. I didn't know he was gonna do all that shit. Pooh Shiesty's dad really ain't do nothing but stand there. He ain't pull out a.
Well, right, but according to the paperwork, Pooh Shiesty put a to Gucci's head, made him sign, handed the contract to his dad, and his dad said, "Oh, it's missing a date." Gave it back to Gucci with the still brandished and had him sign. You can't say, I had nothing to do with it.
No, he can
You're
say.
in the room when getting pulled out.
Your Honor, Gucci was under duress. I was under duress. I didn't know my son was gonna pull that big. He can run it the same way. Literally the same way. Homie, he pulled a all of us in the room himself. We didn't know he was gonna do that. It's the same shit. Man, his dad's old, bro. You think he's about to sit down for 30? That's a life sentence. It's over with. He ain't gonna do that. He already cooperated in a previous case. What, he gonna hit a federal pen with the paperwork that he has on him? He ain't gonna do that.
Post getting off drugs, still got on that Versus stage with Jeezy and said, I'm smoking on a Pookie pack.
He did what?
He got on that stage.
He got on what? That's an alley? That's a park?
No, it's a stage.
It was a stage, right?
Right.
And it was on what platform?
Versus.
That's a prison yard?
No.
That's business.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying to boy, if I really want to just tell stories on some of these artists that I know, the shit they do on stage versus what's really in real life, nobody says nothing about Denzel when he gets on camera and becomes a crooked cop or a killer. Nobody.
Denzel doesn't got a body.
No,
like
what I'm
Gucci
saying
does.
is
Denzel wasn't selling drugs like Gucci was.
Are movies not entertainment?
They are.
Okay, so when the camera's on, what's going on?
I'm just saying Gucci portrayed himself to still be on that bullshit.
Listen,
after he got married and cleaned
and
up
guess
and all
what?
that.
What did his wife say about that? I was totally against him doing that, saying that.
But he still did it.
He still did it. It was just work. Nothing happened.
No.
He didn't jump off stage and go attack the dude.
Right.
Right? So what I'm saying is you have to know who Suge Knight. When Suge Knight did his first bid, Suge Knight went to the county jail, demanded he went to the blood module. I ain't staying up here. I want to go main line, right? Went to mainline penitentiaries, walked the yards with an iron fist. This time, 10, 15 years later, probably longer than that, 20 years later, right? Mm-hmm. Suge Knight goes to prison, right? He stays high powered. I get the call.
If he out there,
I gotta agree with that.
When he get off work and he out there shooking and jamming and bamming and jamming and coming up and then something happen and he tell, I don't care about that 16-hour shift you just put in and all that and got them taxes deducted from all that. Nah, nigga, your ass is a rat. That's just it. Yeah. It's either you over here or you over there. Ain't no, I was halfway in between both. Nah, ever.
But now that you say that, we still gotta see if Gucci Mane is, doing these things, but he seemed like he's living a legal life. And now they kidnap him and put guns on. But then another thing I heard, I'm not saying this is true, I don't know. This is just all speculation for us. We're just speaking about it. Pooh Shiesty, his dad was supposed to have told or something like that before? Is that what they were saying in the media? His dad?
Yes. They said yes. They said that Pooh Shiesty's dad was an informant somewhere along the line. These are just allegations. I'm gonna look a bit deeper into it. I don't really like sprint, but I read that. They said that, and you know, a lot of these things come out. I don't know if it's fake news, but they said the man told before.
Yeah, because also
I don't know, y'all in there, y'all probably could find it for me real fast. Man, family, text back in the chat, but Pooh Shiesty's dad is supposed to have been an informant already before this even happened. But I may be wrong. But pull it up for me, y'all.
Yeah. And now, Pooh Shiesty, let's go to him. This situation now for him, he just came home months ago, right? A few months ago. I don't know when exactly he came home, but he just came home a few months ago.
He walked out of prison with a second chance, a fresh start, a loyal fan base, and a real shot at doing things differently. And just a few months later, he was back in federal custody. But this time, it wasn't just him. His own father was sitting in a cell right next to him. And what investigators say happened in between those two moments is something nobody saw coming. Because this wasn't a mistake. This was something much bigger. When he stepped out in October 2025, everything was lining up. The attention was still there, the music was getting numbers, fans were ready to support the comeback. For most artists, that moment is everything. It's the reset, the turning point, the opportunity to move smarter. And for a while, it looked like that's exactly what was happening. But behind the scenes, there were problems. Tension over contracts, disagreements about control, and frustration that had been building for a long time. At first, it probably looked like a normal industry dispute. But it didn't stay that way, because what happened next was never supposed to be a normal meeting. January 10th, 2026, a studio in Dallas. 3 industry figures fly in, thinking they're there for business, a conversation, a deal, something routine. They arrive early, nothing feels off, they wait, relax, just another day in the music industry. But what they didn't know was that the entire situation had already been set up. Because this wasn't a meeting, it was a setup. And within minutes, everything changed. According to federal documents, this wasn't random. People had traveled across states, movements were coordinated, timing was precise. This wasn't heat of the moment, it was planned. And one detail made it even more shocking. Authorities say his own father was involved, not as someone trying to stop things, but allegedly helping organize parts of it. Booking, communication, logistics. A father and son on the same side of something like this. And once everyone was inside that studio, there was no turning back. The moment everything shifted, it shifted fast. People were separated. Tension filled the room. What started as conversation turned into pressure. Documents were brought out. Demands were made. And the situation escalated in a way no one there expected. Valuable items were taken. People were threatened. And for a moment, those inside believed things could go much worse. By the time it was over, it wasn't just a dispute anymore. It was something that would trigger a full federal case. But the biggest mistake? It didn't happen in that room. It happened before any of this even started. Because while all of this was happening, there was something tracking every move. An ankle monitor. A device required as part of supervised release, sending location data in real time. And according to prosecutors, that data placed him at the exact location, at the exact time. Think about that. No guessing, no confusion, no maybe, just coordinates. And that was only the beginning. Investigators also pointed to travel records, surveillance footage, phone data, social media activity. Piece by piece, different types of information started coming together, forming a timeline that investigators could compare and cross-check. And as more of that material became public through filings and reporting, attention around the case intensified even further. But online, the conversation quickly shifted in a very specific direction. One question started repeating everywhere. Who told? It spread fast across platforms, comment sections, and discussions. Because in hip-hop culture and celebrity legal cases more broadly, that question often becomes a focal point, sometimes based on facts, sometimes based on speculation. In this situation, the people involved weren't anonymous figures. They were known, visible, and already connected within the industry and social circles. That made the discussion even louder, and in many cases, more divided. As the case developed, reports indicated cooperation from certain individuals, which is a standard part of many legal processes. But depending on who was discussing it, that cooperation was interpreted in very different ways. Some people saw it as a routine part of legal proceedings. Others viewed it through a more personal or cultural lens, which fueled debate rather than clarity. While that conversation was unfolding, another wave of claims began circulating online. During a live stream and across social media platforms, allegations resurfaced involving older cases, past paperwork, and supposed cooperation tied to earlier years. Some claims even extended to individuals connected to family members. However, it's important to separate what was being said online from what was officially verified. These circulating claims were not confirmed by major news organizations or court documents in the public record at that time. Shortly after they began spreading, the legal team associated with the case issued a response, directly denying the allegations and rejecting the narrative being built online. And from there, the gap between public speculation and documented fact only grew wider, calling the accusations false, denying any cooperation ever took place. And just like that, the story splits into two different realities. One based on what's been laid out in federal filings, official documents, statements, procedures. The other shaped by online discussions, interpretations, and arguments that grow louder with every update. And when those two versions collide, the truth doesn't just get complicated, it starts to blur. Because most people aren't reading court documents line by line. They're seeing clips, posts, headlines, and opinions layered on top of each other. And in that space, certainty becomes rare. But even setting all of that aside, there's another part of this story that hits differently. Something that doesn't rely on filings or online debates. Just months before everything unfolded, there was a very different narrative being shared. He talked about change, about growth, about learning from other people's mistakes and building something better for himself. At one point, he even pointed to someone else as inspiration. A figure who had been through the system, served time, and then came out with a completely different path. Focused, disciplined, and committed to staying out of trouble. That person wasn't just a reference. They were held up as an example of what transformation was supposed to look like. And here's where the story takes a sharper turn, because the same person who was being presented as that inspiration is now directly connected to the situation everything revolves around. From admiration to involvement, from respect to confrontation, from a story of change to a moment that challenges whether that change ever fully took hold. And that's what makes this more than just another headline cycle. It's not only about what happened in one moment, it's about how quickly the direction of a life, or a narrative, can flip and leave everyone trying to piece together what it actually meant in the first place. And it all circles back to one thing: mindset. Because the opportunity was there. The second chance, it was real, tangible, right in front of them. Most people don't even get that. But a second chance only matters if something changes internally. If the mindset stays the same, then the outcome usually does too. That's the uncomfortable truth. Right now, the case is still unfolding. There's no final outcome yet, no verdict. And legally speaking, everyone involved is still presumed innocent. That part matters. But at the same time, the situation itself, it's serious. We're talking about multiple people, federal charges, the kind of consequences that don't just impact months or years, but potentially entire lives. And what makes it hit harder is how it all traces back to a single moment, a decision that didn't have to happen. That's the part that lingers. Because in a lot of situations like this, people don't just lose opportunities, they lose control. Control over their choices, their reactions, and their direction. And once that control slips, even briefly, the ripple effect can be massive. One moment turns into a chain of consequences that's nearly impossible to reverse. And the reality is, there's no easy way back from that. That's why mindset isn't just a buzzword here. It's the difference between repeating the same cycle and actually breaking it. If you want more breakdowns like this, stories that go deeper than the surface, beyond the headlines, make sure you subscribe, because cases like this don't stay still. New details come out Narratives shift, and what seems clear today can look completely different tomorrow. And the next update on this case, it might not just add new information, it might completely change how everything so far is understood. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching full video. Leave comments about video. Waiting for your positive feedback. It will be nice for me. Love you guys. Keep supporting the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing it. Thank you.